How do fractional CMOs hit the ground running? Hi, I'm Dean Way. Welcome to the podcast, Fractional CMOs and the 90-Day Win. There's a lot of variety in how they kick off a new client engagement. In fact, there's so much variety, it's valuable to just listen to what opportunities they look for, what they tackle first, and what they wish wasn't true when they start a new project. So let's find out. Cosmin, hi. Let's just jump right in. Imagine you've just started a new engagement. You're the fractional CMO. We'll talk about early wins in a moment. But first, what problems do you typically see, or what problems do you normally look for on day one?
Yeah, well, thanks. First of all, Dean, thanks for having me. So the problems that I usually see in the very beginning are just questions, quite frankly, around how do we measure success, or we've been, stagnating and just hitting a plateau. And so, the problems are just a lot of unknowns for the CEO, right? And specifically around the teams that they've been doing it for a while and they're just looking for outside help. And so I think just coming in and bringing a sense of calm and direction is a huge step in looking and trying to help and solve some of those problems.
Oh, and let's tell the audience who you are. I
Oh,
skipped that. That's my
fantastic.
fault. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. I've been in marketing for 2 decades now, mostly with brands like Samsung, USAA, and GM, and 99% of the way to generating $250 million in new
Wow.
sales with them. Yeah. So today I work with SaaS-based businesses, and we're using generative AI to collapse their timelines and get sales sooner. And alongside that, I'm the founder of Fractional Officer Method at fractionalofficer.com.
Cool. Okay, let's go to second question here, because I know this is the one that everyone sort of likes to tackle. What kind of early wins or low-hanging fruit do you like to do in the first 90 days of a new engagement?
Yeah, I think the first 90 days are critical, but to me, the first 30 days are absolutes.
Right.
So coming in and just ensuring that number one, you have a clear set of communication protocols and feedback loop put in place. So the simple things of making sure that you're connected to their Slack or their Teams or whatever it is, that's critical because you know what, like in the first couple of days, if you don't get that right, you're really not as effective, and more less about the technology and more about the trust and the impact, the immediate trust and impact that you can have within the organization. And so to me, communication is very, very important. And then two, just ensuring, if you have not already, identifying who the key stakeholders are on the team that you should be managing, or the peers that are within the organization, because up until this point you more than likely have only spoken to the CEO or the business leader within the company. And so just making sure that you are establishing those relationships and ensuring that beginning the relationship very, very closely, because at the end of the day, as a fractional executive, I am accountable for the outcomes for managing the team, but those internally will be doing that tactical
Right.
execution, right? And so, just like any other executive, if you come within an organization, ensuring that you know your team that is alongside you. So communication, knowing the team, and then for 30 days, just being very aligned with the CEO or the business owner on what are those measures of success within 30 days. And so as an executive, if you're coming in, you know the quick pain points, or you can immediately identify those quick pain points that can be shifted, tweaked, modified to show immediate results.
Well, let's stay with that for just a second. What do clients normally not know about or don't see until you start working with them?
Yeah, that's a great question. The commonality that I've seen with working in different companies and uh, is, what are the KPIs that I need to look at and focus? Marketing has hundreds of
Right.
KPIs,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of the challenges that I've seen are the companies, CEOs, business owners, they get presented by marketing various KPIs, right? And they're just like, which one do I look at? and or which one is the one that I really need to understand and make sure that I know what's a win, right? And so understanding what that KPI is going to be really, really important.
Well, okay. So in that case, given that there's so many metrics and so on, let's say that I'm a CEO, mid-sized firm. I've just hired my first fractional CMO, or I'm about to hire a fractional CMO. Like, what should a CEO understand about fractional CMOs to squeeze the last penny of value out of one?
Yeah. I think what's important to understand about a fractional leader is that you're bringing that fractional CMO on board for their decades of experience that is
Right.
invaluable and almost intangible when it comes to the value, right? Because one strategic recommendation could significantly adjust your conversion rates to now, instead of making uh, 3x return on ad spend, you're making 5.5, 6% or six ROAS on your ad spend. So, and that's something that is really invaluable. And then there's also, the fact that as a leader coming in and having that insight and that knowledge, it gives an immediate impact into the results, and also the understanding, I believe, the talent and what you need in order to be successful. So, many times if I'd come into your organization CEO as a full-time CMO,
Right.
you're hiring me to assess the team, to ensure that the people that are on the team are the right ones, and if they're not, either how do we upskill them or add on other ones. And so you're bringing on that leadership in order for the marketing function to be successful, but ultimately the company to be successful.
Okay, then. So then, you talk to a lot of companies. Obviously, you don't take on every potential client. What are the signs that a client should not have hired a fractional CMO or isn't ready for one yet?
If you're asking me to build your funnel, that's a manager, perhaps that's a director,
Right.
right? So many times I see CEOs and business owners come and say, "Hey, you know what? I have this channel, this tactical problem, and I need you to do that for me, right? I need you to help my Facebook spend. I need you to write my email sequence. I need you to write this copy and content." And quite frankly, I know how to hire somebody to do that at a very low cost in comparison to a fractional leader, because
Sure. Yeah.
you're hiring me for that leadership impact that I can have to the organization. And at the same time, don't get me wrong, right? Like, I can roll up my sleeves and I can work alongside the person to ensure that coach that person to make sure that they're going in the right direction. And that's something I do all the time, right? In my one-on-ones, in the meetings, and the monthly meetings that I do with the companies that I'm a part of. I'm looking for ways to improve all aspects of marketing, right? Or uh, the function to be able to get the most out of it. And
Right.
so again, like, if you're looking at a tactical channel solution, quite frankly, I'd be like, here's this person that's a functional expert on it.
So they have a mismatch. They're looking for like a more executional or tactical lower level role instead of a chief marketing officer, even a fractional one.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
Um, all right. This has been really helpful. I want to give you a hypothetical and see where you go with it. Okay.
Mhm.
So the CEO comes to you and says, "Hey, we're hiring a new head of sales, either a full-time head of sales or a fractional head of sales, chief sales officer, chief revenue officer, whatever. It'll be me and you interviewing these people. What are you looking for, either green flag or red flag, for candidates for a head of sales as someone who's in charge of marketing for that organization?
Mhm. So what I'm really looking for is their understanding or their prioritization of the customer experience. So I find myself many times as head of marketing where, right, we pull in, right, we either pull in the prospect, lead, and customer, or push, right, to get them. But at the end of the day, we live in a customer centric world, and from a sales side, right, be it outbound, be it other ways, when that comes together, if that experience is not clearly defined or in partnership work together, it could all fall through, right? And
Right.
so that to me, like ensuring that the head of sales understands the customer experience is critical. And then I think also that head of sales, will understand marketing, we'll call it basics, right? And so ensuring that there's a willingness to partner and work together to learn together how to best optimize that customer experience. Because at the end, like marketing will bring the lead, and
Right.
then it's a matter of, what is that experience pulling it through. And so, for example, working for SaaS-based companies, right? We'll bring them into the website, and my focus is more on the B2C, more on the product annual subscription type of SaaS company. So once they come in, now it's a matter of, okay, they purchase the product. Well, at that moment we need to start understanding the churn experience. So how are we educating them? How are we moving them through, right? What's the support solution afterwards, right? And the sales officer, ensuring that we understand that experience together is going to be critical to maintain that customer and the lifetime value of that customer.
I heard that. I heard it phrased a really interesting way, maybe a year ago. Um, the quote said that some companies bring customers into a world, and most companies don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to imagine if a customer is going to be brought into a world where there's like an ecosystem and there's lots of stuff there and so on, a lot of value being added, that's a marketing as opposed to a sales function.
Yeah. Well, I think we, marketing and sales, need to
Right.
think about it in a simple analogy, right? Are we bringing them into a garden, or are we bringing them into an empty closet?
Right.
Right? Like what is that experience once you get there? And I believe that, as marketing and sales, if you understand what that is, it's a whole other experience. Just by using that analogy, right? You either
Yeah.
felt really
Yeah. When
good
they walk in,
in the
they
garden,
either walk into
or
a garden or they walk up to a counter.
yeah, a counter,
Right.
or quite frankly, an empty closet, right? That's why I
Yeah.
use that, because it's lonely. And then, what do I do from there? Now there's from a brand reputation, a brand love, all of that it starts diminishing from the very beginning, and it's transactional, and there's no long-term value for the customer.
Exactly. Okay. How do people find you when they want to go look for you?
Yeah, as I mentioned, from a fractional perspective, you can find me at pluscmo.com, pluscmo.com, and also at fractionalofficer.com. And you can find me anywhere on LinkedIn as Cosmin Gabriel.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for this. This has been great. I love those answers.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks you. Thanks everyone.